Absheni, hello. That's how I want to welcome you all. And welcome to my show. Molweni, Absheni, Dumelang, hello. Is it hello? Of Goeiemorgen, yeah, because it's bright and early. What's the time now? 09:52. Very early in the morning. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for those who will be watching very evening-ish or late. Guys, I hope you're good. We're good because I'm good. I really don't want to apologize again, like I did in my previous video, for being late and what. But I do want to apologize to my subscribers, those who have been wanting me to, especially to my new subscribers, because guys, get it to 100K. Okay, remove the K. But 100 Kanyisa subscribers, maybe that helps. Ooh. Anyways, so welcome to another segment. So basically the segment is just in touch of just a bit. What I wanted to talk about a lot, most, was the recent floods in KZN, that disaster. But it was inspired by it. I didn't want to talk about it, but my talk was inspired by it. But it also introduced the fact that I need to explain what township establishment is. So in this case, I'll be explaining to you guys the terms of township establishment. And then, so basically, you need to remember that the whole point of this channel is for me to take all these jargons that planners and civil engineers and land surveyors and all those other people and architects that they use when they're speaking to people. I'm trying to simplify them so that the normal average South African, when they want to embark on this, journey of whatever it is that they want to do to their piece of land, they have an idea what it is to look for in terms of looking for consultants and in terms of going to a municipality and saying, this is what I want to do and this is how I'm thinking of doing it. So the whole point of my channel is to basically simplify. Obviously, I will not be going into the greater details of things, but I know I'm open to people wanting to ask me any questions. But as always, I always think that the most important thing or the most viable thing is for you to go to your nearest town planner and ask them for advice. So guys, to get on with it, I'll be talking about what township establishment is. So what is the township establishment? I'll be reading to you guys. I'm hoping that I'm going to find a way to put this poster. It's a poster I did in first year. It's just a basic of the township establishment and how to what it's all about. So it's just words summarized, shebang, gives you an idea. There's a whole act, so I don't want you guys reading the whole act. So this is basically just So basically what I had written here, and I got the brief, example summary of what township establishment is that the township establishment process is an interactive process between the municipality and the developer. The application for township development is a request for administrative action that will result in an approval for a proposed development of attractive land that will yield a number of small urban. The process consists of the following phases. So basically, a township establishment happens when, let's say, a developer wants to make note, township, guys, asiko kasi fela, because I know that in South Africa we know that a township is a kasi. It's not that. Township is basically a suburb, for lack of a better word. It's all of those things in between. It's it doesn't necessarily have to be elokshin. So basically that process, it starts in order for me to go and talk about floods and any other thing that's got to do with the township establishment process. I thought it's important for me to focus on this, and then I can go into floods and how we can actually prevent floods or even have minimal damage of floods. So what happens is that as a township is established. Bum, ba, bum. Okay, not like that, but like you have a huge piece of urban, let's say, and it's zoned as agricultural. Look to my previous videos, you will know what zoning is. Anyways, so it's zoned as agricultural, and now let's say you want to have a nice brand new township. So in this case, you will have your neighborhoods, you will have your general residential, you will have your single residential, you will have your mixed use, you will have your business area, you will have your parks, you will have, so all those things, they need to be rezoned from agricultural to whatever it is that you want to. And obviously they need to be cut, subdivided. Remember, we've also covered that before. Yeah. All right, guys. So it's the Township Development Establishment process. Please be reminded that things may not be exactly the way I have put them in this poster, but because this poster is probably more than 7 years old, things have changed, but this will give you a brief understanding of the processes in the phases of developing a whole township / neighborhood. And also trying to give you a picture or some relevance in how floods can be prevented in the case of the fact that where they are catered for before you actually plan an entire township. All right. So a brief summary here, it says the township establishment process is an interactive process between the municipality and the developer. The application for township development is a request for administrative action that will result in an approval for a proposed development or tract of land that will yield a number of small urban. So basically, it is also part of a land use application, as said in my previous video. All right, so the first phase is securing the rights to the land. So obviously it's identifying the actual land, how big it is. So it says here, this is identifying land and negotiating with the owner either to purchase the land outright or arrange for a development to be undertaken in some other way. So this is basically saying, okay, so this certain farm number 7142/4 portion 4 belongs to Van der Westhuizen, and now we want to buy it from Van der Westhuizen so that we can have a new township. Okay, cool. So after that, there is an investigation to the legal cadastral of land. So it's analyzing the title deed to determine the size and the character of land the character of for the area development, including conditions of land tied to environmental and social impact studies that are taken in this phase. So here, this is where it starts, whether to see whether this land is capable for what it is planned for. So this is where your EIAs come in, your environmental impact assessments. They come in here, and they come in very, so they start. So you hire everyone, your GIS people, especially your environmental people, to come and test, for lack of a better word, the land, whether it is suitable for such an idea. And then we go into phase 3, rezoning to subdivisional area. This is not applicable in the entire South Africa because, hey, not the whole South Africa is Western Cape Land Use Ordinance. But when you're subdividing, in this case, we are using Spluma. So what we'll do is that we will subdivide the land according to what it is that you want to do to subdivide it as. So you will have your residential areas, you'll have your commercial areas, your business, your mixed use, your open spaces. So this is where that application comes through. So it's all part of the process of the land use application. And then you go through phase 4, layout planning. So layout planning and the subdivisional area are sort of the same, because I mean, hey, layout is basically saying this is where this place is going to be, this is what is going to be here, maybe the house is going to be here. So basically it includes 5 steps. This is what it says here: the site assessment, concept information, programming, concept plan, and layout of plans. Here the developer obtains all planning information in respect of the land from the local authority and provincial government to lay out a plan of how the development will be drawn up. So basically this is, once you know exactly your land and how it is shaped, for lack of a better word, you look for everything that is concerning this area of land, if it has any historical developments, if it has any histories, if it has anything that goes on there, whether there is the initial if there was a flood there, or whether it's a wetland or whatever. That is where this is very necessary for them to get information, so that you know exactly when you are planning your houses and where to put them and your buildings, you are quite aware of said area. You are familiar with your piece of land. Then we're going to phase 5. Phase 5 goes on, and this phase only happens on the basis that the previous 3 activities on an application are made to the relevant council for a subdivisional plan. So the subdivision now can officially take place, because hey, we have now proposed the rezoning and the subdivisional area in phase 3, and now we know what's going on in phase 4, so now we can actually subdivide. So this is where phase 6 comes into place, where a land surveying and approval of a general plan comes through. So now you get your land surveyor, because we have done the environmental everything environmental, your geotechs and everything in phase 2. So now we know that, okay, this land can actually support buildings, it can support everything that you want to put in there. That's when you and your land surveyor, they put a proper general plan that is going to basically, it says here, this comprises of a complete cadastral survey of the land and definition of cadastral boundaries of the new township. The surveyor general ensures that the general plan conforms with the standards and acts as a keeper of the plan if cadastral changes are made. So the word cadastral, basically it just means lines, divides, how it is shaped, what is where, you see. So basically after so basically, if let's say there's a dam there, you cannot be building a dam there. So it has to be on the general plan that there's a dam here, and we cannot build houses a certain amount of meters because there's a dam here and it's a wetland. But in another place closer, you can actually build these type of houses. Maybe where the dam is, you can have your nice little golf course, you see. So that's where, so it's basically whatever it is that you have designed in your concept, the land surveying now will be basically making it legal according to the law. And then phase 7, imposing conditions of the establishment. So before the township can be approved, a council considers in an application for the township establishment. This will impose on the developer a set of development conditions that he or she must apply before the township can be developed. These are generally forms and conditions of the establishment. So most of the time what happens is that, so if it's, let's say, RDPs, and RDPs are being built, chances are yes. So in this case, first of all, this one is going to go to the tribunal, the municipal planning tribunal, and they will decide on whether they want this to happen or not. So when they do approve of it, what happens is that they will definitely have their conditions, that what you can and cannot do when you are developing this. So when it is an RDP or anything like that, there aren't usually many objections. But if, let's say, it is a developer who wants to do high income residential areas, you will have your political side of it that will probably say it needs to cater for people who can earn this much as well, if you want to be doing this. So it's quite intricate. And also it's very important to have your planners, your environmentalists, and all those other people in the council, the municipal planning tribunal, so that when they are building, they ensure that in order to prevent flooding, has the developer made provision for certain things, you see? So they also look at their expertise and they also say, okay, all right, so this person or this developer needs to ensure that the environmental tactics of it are involved to prevent whatever disaster, whatever natural disaster there could be. And then phase 8, compliance with the conditions of establishment. The process involves undertaking whatever activity specified in phase 7 above governing the land in question. Applications to remove or cancel conditions can either be made. All right, yeah. So now this is the point where I guess if, let's say, the developer is against any conditions that were set in phase 7, this is when they'll be like, so we're thinking that we can't really provide for a certain number of people, but we can do this. So basically it's like a negotiation period time frame. Spluma explains how long that can actually be. SPLUMA, which is the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Act. So there in that document you can actually find, in that act, you can find how long this phase can take. And then the stage is phase 9, opening of a township register. The township register is a record of ownership and in respect of new ownership, the general plan is approved by the Surveyor General. It is then forwarded to the Deeds Office for conveyance and also all other necessary documents to the Deeds Office. All the documentation has to be examined. The Registrar of Deeds notifies the developer that the register can be opened. So basically, this is now officially making it legal. Yes, in phase 6, we did basically do the approval of the general plan, but this was basically just the plan. And now that the plan has been approved in phase 9, we are definitely saying, okay, all parties needed have been informed, so this is definitely how it's going to be. And if there are a certain number of owners besides the developer, but usually it's just the developer first before they actually establish and build actual units and houses and all of that. They just basically I guess it's just, yeah. So they basically, so now you what can I say? The conveyancer, they approve, and the deeds register, they approve it under the name of the developer, which is probably some sort of trust, some rich person's trust, and all of that in between. Okay, so what is town planning in terms of floods? All right, not exactly linked to floods. We can't prevent floods, but we can do a couple of things to actually, so when there's a township that is being established, what is very important is to have your land surveyor, to have your geotechnical or geological report, and your environmental report. So those things will establish the type of land you have, and whether your soil, the kind of soil you have, whether the water can go through, whether it's permeable, whether it's this shape. So what do you do when your land is this shape? How do you build it? Whether it's by the sea or close to a flood line. All of those things will be needed in your geological report, as well as in your environmental report, that will state what needs to be done in order to overcome these circumstances. Yeah. So basically, once that is established, that okay, this is the type of land, this is how we want to divide it, this is happening, there in between, planners must make sure that there's a stormwater drainage system that is basically made way for, right? I'm going to read again. So the stormwater drainage system, the point why, this is why you need a stormwater drainage system. I'm going to read. Okay, cool. So basically, the objective of having a stormwater drainage is to, obviously, very important, to prevent the loss of life and damage to property from rare storms, example KZN, to provide a stormwater system for the convenience of the community and to protect properties from flood damage and frequent storms. Also, if the house is built near a water source, to also protect it from that. And also to find solutions to the runoff problems caused by urban development and provide the most economical control facilities that are compatible. So basically, guys, what happens is that obviously you know that when you're establishing a township, you're disturbing nature. So nature is constantly just at that point where if you remove it tries to replace. So obviously now when it's raining on tar, water has to go somewhere. As if there was no tar, the water would just sink into the ground and then just flow into the rivers and go back to sea or go back to the rivers or wherever it goes to. But now it's very difficult because now there's tar, there's a house. So obviously now planners make sure that when the township is being established, that those water courses are made for. So basically, to make it separate, so when you're doing a stormwater drainage, planners need to make sure that there's a major storm drainage system and there's a minor storm drainage system. Okay, cool. I'm going to read again. So a major storm drainage system is this is an area that will be flooded for a short period of time during a major storm. So it's those areas that it's okay if it floods, it's not going to be a big deal, you know. For instance, such as public open spaces. So guys, public open spaces are not just there just for you guys to enjoy and enjoy. Most of the time they are there to sustain water. For instance, I mean parks, playing fields, golf courses, and parking areas. So it's fine for those places to have water when there has been a flood, so that the water either sinks in or it just directly goes to a bigger one. So these are major drain-off systems because they're quite big in size and everything like that, you see. And then obviously when the water runs, it's supposed to run into a minor storm, or it can go straight into the sea or back to the water or whatever. So this is what it says here: a major storm drainage system. The functions of a minor storm system can be fulfilled by rapid removal of water. Thus, a system of effective water carriers must be defined. The system consists of curbs, channels, curb inlets, culverts, underground pipes. It may also include small surface furrows and other means of conveying runoff from the major storm. So basically, this is just your sway in Papali, yeah. Those little open endings, yeah. So it's important that those because when the water goes through latrine, it goes to water pipes, and then those water pipes, they send it off to a natural water system, so which is the river, the sea, and the whatnot. So guys, it's major and minor. Minor is the drainage system that is actually installed, right? While you're establishing, so it's in the tar, hence why it's very important to make sure that it's not polluted, because when it's polluted and it has plastics and whatnot, it keeps the water from actually seeping through and going to the pipes where it's supposed to go, right? And then you have the major storm, which is basically your public open areas, your golf courses, your playgrounds, your parking areas, your playing fields, your parks, you see. So they can carry water. It's basically a natural, because water can actually have what it would have done as in seeping through and going to the underground water. So it's very important to make sure that we know that as well. Also important that obviously through urbanization we have built plenty of things that beautiful things, and it's very important that you must have water there by the view, whether it's a sea or whatnot. So people like building near water sources, which is weird if you think about it, like very technically, but I mean it's possible because hey, we humans and we are innovative. So basically what happens is that sometimes we build very closely to floodlines. And what floodlines basically are they basically measure how far or how long or where it is that you can actually build or not build. So okay, so looking at the image in front of you, on the left, we have some satellite images, and then on the right, we have a diagram and a table. Wada 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 wa. Okay, so let's first look at the diagram and the table. So the diagram and the table are explaining the 20-year floodline, 50-year floodline, and 100-year floodline. So basically what it says here, as you can see, is that the 20-year floodline might be considered for single, non-permanently occupied houses and fairways on golf courses. So that's basically those. You can say in a way that the 20-year floodline is basically an open space where you don't build anything permanent and it can flood easily. The water will just sink down again. And then the 50-year floodline, housing development will be protected against. So basically the 50-year, there can be a house, it's not easily flooded because it's far away from wherever chances are of rain can be, And then it's the 100-year floodline. This one is where it's way, way, way far away from the actual, far away from any water source. So that means that all these, what it says here, the strategic and important structures can actually be built there. And then you have your dam break flood investigation. This is for a development downstream of a major dam. Even a dam break flood investigation may be requested. All right, so basically when you look down on the actual diagram, this is a profile that shows the floodline, and want you to have a visual image that where it is dark red, that's where the 20-year floodline is. So basically you really don't want to be building anything permanent there, but you can have some sort of development like a golf course or a park or whatever it is there, because it's okay. Even if it does flood, the water can easily go back to its water source. And then you have your 50-year, where your houses can be built, where your views are cute and expensive. And then the 100-year floodline are obviously the bigger buildings, which are very important. You don't really want them to be falling at all. And then we can now look at our satellite images. The satellite images are quite easy. So the top one, it's showing a river. So it's basically a topographical. So you can look at from the top, where the purple part is, that is actually where the river is. And then there's the line that actually underlines where the river, basically the river boundaries are. So yeah, so that's where the river boundaries are, and it just shows that this is before any flood or anything like that happens. And this is in Matatiel. So yeah, so basically that's just an image of how it is. I can show you the link down below of where I found it. Actually quite helpful that it's actually a South African website where you can see you can move the arrows. As you can see, there's an arrow in a circle that you can move from left to right. That just shows you the difference between when it's flooded and when it's not flooded. So at the bottom, you have your your river, and now the river has been flooded. So where the blue is, that's where the flooding has actually happened. Where the light blue is, that's where the actual flooding has happened. And then if you look closely, with the red underlining, that is most probably where you would find your 50-year floodline. But now the problem is that it has rained already. So the 50-year floodline does not necessarily say it will never rain in 50 years. No. It can rain, but it's not, chances are of that are quite minimal. Hence why you have your houses that are depicted in the yellow spots. Those are where your houses, those are where your developments are. But if you look closely, right closer where it has actually flooded, there are houses that are in blue spots that have been affected by the actual flood. So link below, I will show you where you can find this, and it just takes you through the different satellite images of the flood damages. Very, very good idea to guys. Basically what I'm trying to say is that floods are things that can be I can't say prevented, because we can't really control nature besides popular belief and what we've heard. But what we can do is try to make sure that there's minimal damage. Hence why it's very important at the beginning of the process, where there's a township establishment, that people make sure that planners make sure that these things are accounted for, and they hire the relevant people to actually help and set the systems before you actually start bringing people inside that new establishment, township, development, whatever you want to call it. So upon when you have your house, and now what do you do to try, okay, you have not your house, you have your earth, and you want to build your house. What do you do to prevent things such as water coming through your house and all of that? That's why it's very important for you to know the flood line when you're building your house. Also, it's very important to make sure that you submit a building plan. Guys, you have no idea how important it is to submit a building plan. A building plan will help you so much in terms of understanding and preventing a lot of damage, because when you want to have a building plan, you need your architect. Your architect will link you to your structural engineers, your electrical engineers, all your types of engineers that will make sure that your house is built according to the national regulations. And the building regulations, they are there to protect you in terms of what it is that your house needs to have. So basically, when you have all of this, let's say you have your house and it's near an area that can easily be flooded, right? Near a water source or wherever. It's very important that your structural engineers take part in this, and they make sure that your house is planned for. There's a picture, not sure whether I'm going to be able to put it, maybe here, where you can see in that picture that the house is stronger because, like, the structural engineer there, kudos, because they made sure that they know that this is near water and they know the type of soil that is there. Therefore, they put beams that were very strong enough that the house can at least hold. It may not hold, but it gives it that sort of assurance. So basically, when you're building your house, you need to make sure that you have those. And it's also so once you have that and you submit your building plans to the municipality, each and every single phase has to be monitored by the municipality. So once they've actually approved your plans, your structural whatnots, they ensure that when you've done your foundation, you call them, they look at your foundation, they're like, okay, no, cool, this foundation is proper. You do your structure, they look at your structure, okay, the structure is fine according to this. So your plan is also approved because it goes through many different departments, including town planning, that will look at whether the house is in the flood line, whether the building lines are okay, whether you will have your engineers who will also look at the structure, whether the structure is able to, if you're in a mining town, whether this house can actually stand those tremors that mining towns usually have. So it's very important. So also, if you're close to the beach, whether if there is, let's say, a strong storm, will the water come through your house easily? Those are the most important things that submitting your building plan is for. It's not just for Masipala to chow up your money. So that's why I advise that also for your insurance as well, because usually you get your house insured, so that all these things, because what the insurance companies do, they look whether you have an approved building plan, and once you have that approved building plan, they can actually insure you. And once a disaster happens, they will look for a building plan and they will say, okay, all of this was looked at by the municipality and it was approved, therefore this person completely deserves compensation or whatever, because hey, these things were prevented, but it happened. So what can we do but give them whatever compensation needs to be given? So yeah, guys, it's very important to ensure that any other disaster, your house is supposed to be protected or prevented against. Hence why it's important to do the building plan. All right, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that this was informative. I hope I was simple English. If you don't understand, don't hesitate to, on the comment section, ask me any question, and I will really try to comment on whatever it is that you're asking me on. And also please note that what I have said here is my opinion, and it's just to give you guys an idea, to put you guys in light. There are obviously many other things that are deeper, that need more explaining, hence why I would recommend you to go to your nearest town planner or even your nearest municipality. They're also supposed to have town planners there. What I have done is that I have given you guys two links, which is one is that one that will explain the whole flooding thing, and the other one is City of Cape Town. Shout out to the City of Cape Town. Their website is easily navigatable, where they will give you guys a short, nationally, according to the building regulations, nationally the process of submitting your building plan is supposed to be the same across all municipalities, but I think the one from City of Cape Town will give you guys a general idea. You might not be in the City of Cape Town, but it'll definitely give you the general idea of what is supposed to be and what isn't supposed to be. So thank you. I hope I will be posting soon. I hope I will not be waiting for another 2 months, because wow, that is
all
a
right,
lot
guys,
for you guys to hear.
thank you very
This
much for
awesome
tuning
goodness.
in. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Also, share, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.